It starts with a face, not human, but close enough to make you stop. Eyes that track movement, a body that shifts with expression, a voice that answers like it's actually thinking. For a moment, you're not sure what you're looking at, and that hesitation is exactly the point, because AI robots aren't just moving faster, they're becoming harder to distinguish from the real thing, and that changes everything. For decades, robots looked like machines because they were rigid, mechanical, obvious. You always knew what you were looking at. That's no longer true. Today's humanoid robots are built around one goal, not just to function, but to feel familiar. And the engineering behind that goes much deeper than most people realize. Take Amika, built by Engineered Arts, not designed for heavy lifting, not built for speed, built specifically to study one thing: how closely a machine can replicate human expression. Inside its face, more than 20 individual motors, each one controlling something different: eyebrow shifts, eye movement, mouth curvature, working together to produce something unexpected. Micro-expressions, the small, almost unconscious movements that humans rely on to read emotion. And when a machine can produce those, something changes in how you perceive it, even when you know it's not real. But expression is only half of it. The other half is conversation, and this is where things get more interesting. Instead of fixed responses, these systems generate answers in real time, using AI models similar in structure to the large language models powering today's most advanced chatbots. So the conversation isn't scripted, it's generated based on context, based on what you just said, based on what the robot perceives in the moment. Two systems working together: physical expression controlled by hardware, conversational behavior driven by AI, and the result feels unsettlingly natural. But looking human is one challenge. Moving in the real world is a completely different one, because a robot that can talk still needs to navigate, still needs to pick things up, still needs to adjust when something unexpected happens. And that's where the real engineering begins. Modern robots don't follow fixed instructions anymore. They interpret their environment, cameras and sensors constantly scanning, converting everything they see into data they can act on. That's computer vision. And it feeds directly into motion planning, which calculates how every joint should move, so the action looks smooth, balanced, physically possible. And underneath all of that, control systems running in real time, correcting movement as it happens. If the robot is slightly off balance, it adjusts instantly, without being told to. Some of the more advanced systems go further. Instead of being programmed for every scenario, they learn through simulation, through repetition, through exposure to new environments, gradually improving how they respond to situations they've never seen before. And that shift matters, because it moves robots from executing commands to adapting behavior, from controlled environments to unpredictable ones. And once that threshold is crossed, the next question becomes obvious. Where are these machines actually going? The clearest answer right now is China. In cafes, hotels, service centers, humanoid robots are moving out of labs and into spaces where people expect natural interaction, greeting guests, delivering items, making drinks, guiding visitors, responding with facial expressions. That shift in real time based on who they're talking to. And what makes this significant isn't the tasks themselves, it's the scale. This isn't demonstration anymore. It's distribution, machines placed into environments where human interaction is routine, not experimental. And while China leads deployment, the competition is global. Tesla's Optimus program is focused on dexterity, smoother movement, better object handling, built for factories and logistics centers. Boston Dynamics spent years on mobility. Atlas can balance, adjust, and move through environments that would challenge most humans. Unitree is pushing affordability, making advanced humanoid platforms accessible to researchers and developers who couldn't afford them before. Each company attacking the same problem from a different angle, and each generation getting closer to something that works reliably outside controlled environments. But here's what ties all of this together. It's not the hardware, it's not the software, it's the direction. Every one of these systems is being built around the same goal, not just to move, not just to talk, but to exist in the same spaces as humans, comfortably, consistently, without breaking the experience. And once robots reach that point, the conversation changes completely. It stops being about what they can do and starts being about something harder to answer. How ready are we for a world where they're simply part of it?